Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. Here are 3 stories from my new book called Senior Stories. Stories about older folks. This story is called Knitting. After I got laid off at age 70, I tried to find work, but could get no better than a part-time minimum wage job as a library page. Despite years of psychotherapy, meditation, mindfulness, and so on, I found that the only way to keep my anxiety under control was to stay busy, distracting attention from my real and my imagined woes. I was never an athlete and had no desire to, for example, take up golf, that staging area for the hereafter. Nor did I want to attend activities at the senior center that would too acknowledge my place on life's conveyor belt. Watch more TV? I don't think so. I like to be productive, but at what? I never was artsy, so other cliches were out, for example, the old man at his easel, or wandering around with an outsized zoom lens, creating the zillionth image of nature's eye candy. I flashed on my mother knitting a sweater. Too hard, too feminine. Can you just see me in a knitting circle? So I dismissed the idea. But knitting kept intruding. It's too hard. I'm retarded at visualizing. Maybe if it was just a scarf, that's just a rectangle, no changed angles. Maybe I should watch a YouTube video. And I did. But I couldn't even get the basic knit and purl move. If I took a knitting class, it would be embarrassing. Not just being a man, but I'd be so bad at it. Should I hire a tutor? I'm sure some little old lady would come to my house. Oh no, actually, we'd have to meet on a park bench. She might think I'm a rapist or something. I thought about placing an ad for a tutor on Craigslist, but I figured that little old ladies who knit are more likely to see an ad that was a flyer hung on some yarn store's bulletin board. So I went to 3 knitting stores. 2 had bulletin boards, and the other allowed me to tape my ad to the cash register counter. Not so old man, inept with crafty things, wants to see if he can learn to knit. Seeking a patient tutor. 510-122-2376. I returned home to find a message on my answering machine. Yes, I still use an answering machine, not because I don't understand how to set up voicemail, but because I like to screen calls. Hello, I'm Marty Anderson. I'm the owner of A Good Yarn phoned me to say you were looking for someone to show you how to knit. Well, you're welcome to come to my apartment. I thought, well, there are 4 widows for every widower. Maybe she's eager. Feminist assertiveness has reached the senior set. And so I went to Marty's apartment, where I saw why she perhaps might have been forward. She's bedridden with MS. I was slow to pick up even basic knitting moves, but Marty was indeed patient. In showing me, increasingly, she seemed to hold my hand just a fraction of a second longer than required. And then one time, she held my hand for a full second. I looked her in the eye, then, reminded I was on her bed, turned away. Until once, I didn't. And Marty and I met weekly for knitting lessons. Before long, I had made 4 scarves and sewed a label in each. Made with Love by Albert and Marty. That story is called Knitting. The next story is called Sam's Last Concert. In the wings, Sam could hear the concertmaster tuning up the orchestra. Damn, my hand is shaking more than usual. It's a bad Parkinson's day. Plus, it's my last concert. I'm nervous. I'm glad I decided on the Grieg, but with these hands, nothing is easy. Sam had been a concert pianist his whole life. At age 11, he finished 4th in the Midwest Regional Young Artist Competition, and now at age 83, had performed 45 concerts, including one with the Kansas City Symphony. He thought, true, that was just in the Casey Symphony Summer Festival when lots of the A players were on vacation, but still. Somehow I wish my ex-wife were here. How could she have dumped me? I still wish she were here tonight. Do I play it safe? A lot of note mistakes would make the audience think I stayed at it too long, like those star baseball players who'd rather hit 200 than retire. Or do I go for a home run? A chance at a write-up in the Kansas City Star. Roseman finishes with a flourish. The conductor gave Sam's a forced smile, and Sam strode on stage. "This is it. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. Damn, my hands are shaking more. I'm taking too long. I gotta get out there. Stand up straight. Old men hunch. Stride. Don't shuffle." But Sam could manage only to shuffle on stage. He hung onto the piano with one hand as he bowed his head to the audience. "If I tried to bow from the waist, I could fall." And he sat down at the piano. "I've had this moment so many times, but this is different." Sam used his old trick of adjusting the seat up and then back down again, not because it needed adjusting, but to buy a little more time to ground himself before the moment of truth. And Sam began, and took every reasonable risk he could, and most of the time he won. Yes, his boldness caused a few note mistakes, but only the ignorant or mean-spirited could criticize his exciting performance. It was inspiring at any age, but for an 83-year-old with advanced Parkinson's, it gives me the chills just to tell you about it. And yes, Sam got not just the usual obligatory extended applause, bestowed as much to protest classical music's dying popularity as to acknowledge the performer, but fervent applause. And then, yes, a standing ovation. Not a charity ovation, a heartfelt one. And Sam, who usually was too shy to look at the applauding audience, and so would stare at the back wall, soaked in the smiling, standing people. Then he sighed and plodded off stage for what he thought was the last time. Sam shuffled into his dressing room, closed the door, and dropped into a chair. "I survived. I didn't embarrass myself. I can't go to the reception. That's like a retirement party where everyone tries to make light of it being the beginning of the end. My end." There was a knock on the door. "Daddy?" His daughter opened the door and gushed, "You were amazing! You really were amazing! Come on, they're all waiting for you!" Sam knew there was no avoiding it, so he trudged downstairs. When he arrived, the chatter morphed into applause, and he thought, "No one likes long speeches, and nothing ungracious. I should be a good boy." But he couldn't resist saying what he really felt. "Honestly, I can't stand the thought this will be my last performance." And he teared up. A 4-year-old toddled up to him. "Do you want to play in my class?" And Sam Roseman went on to play more concerts than he had in his entire life in preschools and elementary schools, first just locally, then around the country. He never got paid. Indeed, he had to pay his travel expenses, but he didn't begrudge it. I can't think of a better way to spend my money than to teach kids to love classical music, and that old people aren't necessarily irrelevant. In any case, that story is called Sam's Last Concert. The last story I want to read to you is called A Loyal Gardener. Genevieve had been Stanley's gardener for 43 years. Now 73, despite her bad back, she continued. Yes, she needed the money, but had seen the other people in Stanley's life come and go, and even steal. A house cleaner had giggled. "I steal one piece of silverware at a time. I'm now at a service of 4. He never noticed." One day, Genevieve's back was bothering her more than usual, but Stanley was excited about the new rose bush he bought, and in his quiet way let her know he was eager to see it planted. He even showed her the spot. She dug and dug, her back hurting more and more. She knew that roses like a deep hole, and she had dug almost down to the ideal 18 inches when her shovel hit something that sounded like wood. Maybe a branch that hadn't fully decomposed? She struggled down to her knees to push away the soil that was still covering it. It was a box, an antique wooden box. She slowly opened it, and inside was a note on ivory vellum paper. It was written in turquoise ink in a relaxed handwriting. "Dear Genevieve, I knew your back was hurting particularly badly today, and so, before I made my final decision, I decided to put you to one more test. You've already passed 43 years of working for me, loyally, responsibly. That's an incredible test. But you have just dug a tough hole, despite your bad back, just because I hinted that I wanted you to. I have worked hard all my life and spent little, so I've accumulated a fair amount. I'm old now, and want to see the benefit of my work. and my savings. So, rather than put you in my will, I have transferred most of my life savings, $250,000, into your checking account. That is my way, Genevieve, of showing you that I love you." Of course, Genevieve cried, ran into the house, and hugged Stanley. I wish that were the end of the story, but it isn't. When Genevieve told her friends and family about it, they all urged her to retire from gardening, especially with her bad back. But she explained that she wanted to be loyal to Stanley until she absolutely couldn't do the gardening anymore. So Genevieve continued, and while her back slowly kept degenerating, she was still able to do her work. But at age 78, something snapped. She could no longer even stand without excruciating pain. Her doctor and the second opinion doctor said that her only option was surgery, although it was far from sure that the benefits would outweigh the risks, and Medicare agreed. Its denial of coverage read, "At age 78, the risk-reward ratio of the surgery is insufficient to provide coverage." Genevieve felt it was surgery or suicide, so she paid for it out of the money Stanley had given her. Alas, she required a revision surgery, which wiped out all her money. But finally, Genevieve was pretty much out of pain and could walk. Stanley invited her to live with him forever, to enjoy retirement together, and she gratefully accepted. Anyway, that story is called The Loyal Gardener. Those are three of my senior stories. I've written many. Anyway, just hope you enjoy that. Period. Okay, I'm Marty Nemko. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments, and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.